All right, welcome to another edition of, well, Math Help, if you will. All right, this is for my Math 7 class, my 7th graders, learning 6.7 graphs of linear inequalities. I have a feeling you might want to come and watch this a few times before the end of the chapter so we can prepare for our test. This is a level 1 question, so if you can read this here, it says, I've written this problem over and over and I still don't understand. So if you feel like this pencil, which some of us sometimes do, I hope that this video will help you. And help you better understand it. You can feel better about it. Okay, so let's take a look. Right now we're going to start with the level 1 question. Alright, so this level 1 question says, tell whether the ordered pair is a solution to the inequality. Alright, so how do we check this information? Well, I'm going to do some substitution. So let's do this level 1 question. So let's see. And you got to remember, this is my x and this is my y. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say 2 times my x value plus 3 times my y value. Is that less than 5? So I do some simplifying here. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. 3 times 2 is positive 6. And I still got to ask myself, will that equal, will that be less than 5? So negative 8 plus 6. Well, that's negative 2. And sure enough, negative 2 is less than 5. So the answer here would be yes. So some of your homework looks like that. That would be the proof. That would be the showing your work, if you will. Now the other part of your homework, which tends to be a little bit more difficult, is graphing the inequality. All right, so let's just pretend that this inequality, if you're not sure what to do here, you want to look at this as y equals x plus 5. Think of it that way, okay? So you're going to think of it as if it was just an equation, okay? So looking at this, I should be able to pull out that my slope here is 1 over 1 and that my y-intercept is 0, 5. All right? So if you give that a thought, you can take a look at, you can take a graph and now graph the situation. So I begin at 0, 5. Okay, that's my y-intercept. And then I'm going to move up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Okay? And if you remember from class, I'm going to make this a solid line. The reason I make this a solid line is because it is less than or equal to. The fact that it has the equal to symbol, then it means that anything on this line is also a solution. So because of this little equal to symbol, you got to make it a solid line there. Okay. Last thing, you got to figure out where will you shade. Okay. So which side do you shade is the question. And so we take a look at this. You say, well, I remember in class Mr. Ron was saying less than usually means below. So chances are pretty good that I'm going to shade below. But before I do my shading, I'm going to check a point. Check a point. Just like we did in example number 1, except you get to choose what point you want. The easiest point, I think, is to use this point right here, which happens to be the origin 0, 0. So let me go to my inequality. I'm going to plug in 0 for y. And is that less than or equal to 0 for x plus 5? So is 0 less than 0 plus 5? Is 0 less than 5? The answer is yes. So the fact that this is a yes, that means I know I'm on the right half plane. I know I'm on the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and shade everything below the line. Below that line. And so that is my solution right there. That's how you graph that. All right? So there's that one. Let me show you one more example of one that doesn't have the little line underneath. That's the second example here. All right, so this second example, once again, I'm going to be able to pull out from here my slope, which is 1/3, and my y-intercept, which is 0, negative 2. Okay, and I pulled that from that information because it's in slope-intercept form. Okay, so then I take my graph and I go ahead and begin at 0, negative 2. There's 0, negative 2. I'm going to go up 1 over, up 1 over 3. 1, 2, 3. That's over here. Up 1 over 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now I'm going to take my ruler, but before I make my line, I have to double check, should I have a solid line or a dashed line? This one, it just says less than, not equal to, just less than. So the fact that it only has less than means you do not make a solid line. You're going to make a dashed line. And what that means is, hey, here's the border line, but it doesn't include the border. If a point lands on this line, it is not a solution. So I'm going to check. I don't know. Let's see. Mr. Ramos says less than means it's going to be below, but I'm going to check. let's check a point. And I like to use 0, 0 to check. Okay, this point right here, which is the origin. All right, so let's see. 0, is that less than 1/3 times 0 minus 2? Is 0 less than 0 minus 2? Or is 0 less than -2? And the answer to that is no. 0 is not less than -2. So this is not a solution. So that tells me I should not shade on that side. I should shade below my line. And so that would be your solution down over here. Okay? All right, hopefully that worked out. Come to class with questions. I have a level 2 one coming up next.